day. Now over on the right-hand side, you see some construction work going on, something new coming to the City of London, something exciting, something glamorous, is in fact our brand new sewerage system. The officially titled Super Pooper apparently contains tunnels so wide you could drive 2 double-decker buses through it without touching the sides, which is a slight improvement on my commute this morning. Designed to replace the old Victorian sewage system because, well, back in the 1800s, we would simply dump our sewage directly into the River Thames. Out of sight, out of mind. But there was something of a population swell here in London in the 1850s, leading to an event known as the Great Stink of 1858. There was so much raw fermented sewage in the River Thames that during a particularly hot heat wave, the overhead sun began to cook the river like a terrible, terrible soup and gave off a smell so bad that half of London had to be evacuated. There were outbreaks of cholera and even Parliament said that London is sinking. If it's up to their mains, we're going down the drains. And if the lions are ducked, then London is flooded. Flooded. If you're thinking something else, shame on you, but you are essentially correct. In fact, the River Thames, it's so clean, there's 125 different species of marine life in the river, including 2 different species of sharks. So that's another reason not to go swimming in the Thames. Now just up ahead on the right-hand side, you see this square white building with a single flag on top. That is the world-famous Savoy Hotel, London's first purpose-built luxury hotel. It opened in 1889, where its clientele would include Charlie Chaplin and Marilyn Monroe. And nowadays, the likes of Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber make it their own whenever they're visiting London. And many of you may be staying in lodgings or accommodation this evening, but if you fancy a little bit of an upgrade, you can get yourself the Royal Suite for the princely sum of £18,000 per night. Well, that is with a minimum of a 3-night stay. And what you get for that money? Well, get your own hand-stitched mattress, your own chauffeur, your own private butler, and access to the hotel's 24-hour therapist. I don't know about you, but if I just spent £18,000 on a hotel room, I might need to speak to a therapist as well. Hear the screams of drowned sailors at night, and upon hearing this, the Egyptians further gifted those 2 stone sphinxes to sit at the bottom. Unfortunately, the Victorians didn't know much about Egyptology, and it didn't come with any instructions, so unfortunately they installed the sphinxes the wrong way around. They're supposed to be facing outwards to ward off evil. Instead, they're facing inwards, and now it just looks like they're having a little bit of a chat. And at the top of the column, you'll see some hieroglyphics, and just at the bottom, you'll see some lowerglyphics. I'm terribly sorry, I am contractually obligated to tell that joke. I die a little inside every time I say it. I'm just going back to the Golden Jubilee bridges up ahead. And if you're wondering why they look so similar to the eye, that's because they share the same aesthetic. They were built using the leftover metals, the leftover remnants from the eye's construction, making it not only the youngest bridge here, built in 2002, but also the most economical. And of course the Golden Jubilee, I'll try that again, the Golden Jubilee bridges lead across the river on the right-hand side into Charing Cross Station, that green and purple lit-up building that was designed by Terry Farrell in the 1980s. It's meant to resemble a giant steam train departing the station in a great plume of smoke. But to me, every time I look at it, it just reminds me of a giant toaster. And the smoke, that just means the toast is burning. And alas, we're passing under Golden Jubilee Bridge now. This is the last bridge on the tour. It's your last chance to wave at a stranger here in London and get a wave back. If you try this on the tube later, you might get a different response. So let's make sure we end with a full 5-fingered wave and send it a slightly more crispy 1-2-finger. Excellent. Good stuff. Running on a good note. Now over on the right-hand side, you see this collection of green trees, but just beyond that, it's a white building with a green roof and many flags on top. That is the Ministry of Defence, known as the Iceberg, because what you see is just the tip. It stands as 10 stories tall. It's rumoured to extend a further 25 stories beneath ground, containing nuclear bunkers, secret war rooms and underground tunnels, connecting to the Houses of Parliament, to 10 Downing Street and to Buckingham Palace. So don't worry guys, in the event of World War III, they'll be fine. The rest of us will just have to figure it out.